All right, out here in Niamata, Rwanda. This lake that's in the background there is Lake Mature. I'm actually on a investment tour with the group. I don't know if anybody might be familiar with Dr. Hartman. And that's her right there with the arms behind her back. She actually brought some folks over here from Nigeria, Canada, other parts of the world. She's pretty well known with how to invest in Africa. So I just happened to be here and asked me to come along and participate in this one. We're actually at a fish farm, as I said, in Niamata, Rwanda. That's Lake Mature. This is more so for agricultural purposes and things out here. It's a wonderful area. The scenery is beautiful. A lot of Americans actually own land out here. Typically, you can use it for if you're doing building. So I know a couple folks that's on the tour, they have chicken farms. So this is if you're actually looking for agriculture or you want some lakefront property, you can actually get property out here. It is, again, about an hour and a half away from Kigali. So this is that rural lifestyle for those people who don't want to be in the fast hustle and bustle of the city, but definitely and take the scenery of being in a nice rural, self-contained, wonderful, scenic, pleasant, stress-free, relaxing, pleasurable environment. This is probably one of the parts of Rwanda you would definitely enjoy coming to. You got to see they have here on this, out here, this is actually a fish farm. You see they have their own gardens, they have their own food. Out here, again, when I say self-sustaining, look at the chickens we got in the chicken coop over there. So they get their own eggs. And as soon as the chickens get fat enough, they become dinner as well. But yeah, out here, some more vegetation, more plants and fruits and vegetables out here as we continue. It's a rainy day today, actually, if you can't tell. It's actually rained pretty good. I've been coming here now 2 years and haven't had this much rain. Or maybe it's because I'm away from the city, I don't know. But it's the rainy season in Rwanda right now, actually. So it's actually, typically the rain is about 45 minutes to an hour, then it stops and it goes on about the day. But today it's actually been raining. It's ongoing for about a couple hours. All right.
They rest here for 2 weeks. We feed them, and then after 2 weeks we bring in a bunch of males. And we allow the males to swim with them for 1 week. And then we take the males away. We put a net in. We know the difference. Everybody knows the difference when you look close. So, we put a net in. We do it every Friday. Every single Friday. We put a net in here and we go through and we check all the females to see if they have eggs. And we carry eggs in the mouth. And if we look in the female mouth, if it's there, we take the eggs out and we take them into the incubators. And then we count everything. We tag every female that gives eggs. And so if a female doesn't give eggs on 3 consecutive harvest days, she'll have no tag.
Oh,
I'm trying to hit you still. As long as she has a tag on, she's good. We keep the population going. And we try to replace the older ones gradually with younger ones. Because that's a couple of years egg production goes on. Now, as far as feeding, everything's labour intensive here, and I've designed it that way because this is Rwanda. People need jobs, wages are low, mechanisation is expensive, and it breaks down a lot. So I've gone for the labour intensive approach. How do I manage people to feed? I'm not here watching people doing it. So my solution for management since I moved to Rwanda is clipboards and forms to fill in. So for example, these fish need feeding twice a day. This is the feed bucket for this pond, and I have this chart here. If you're the feeder, like this morning at 9:16, Jacqueline came by and fed the fish. Yes, and I can look at the time to see if it's realistic. I can look at the next one, it should be 22. So 18 ponds, these ones I've just been showing you. Every Friday we do a process called robbing eggs. And we go into 6 of the 18 and we remove the eggs and we take them down to our hatchery. And the hatchery is that stripy roof building down there. We put the eggs into incubators on the Friday and we keep them there until the following Thursday. So it takes 6 days for all of them to hatch. And they become this tiny little fish called a fish fry. And then after the following Thursday, we remove those fry and we put them in the nursery, which are those greenhouses down there. And at each stage we count them. So we know exactly, not exactly, but close exact, how many eggs we had, and then how many fry survived the 6 days of hatching and came here. And so we have like a 95% survival rate between here and here. Then they stay in here for 8 weeks, and then we sell them to other fish farms. They come here, or we send them, we put them in plastic bags. They may buy 50,000, we put 1,000 in each bag, so 50 bags of oxygenated water, and they drive away with the fish. So that's half the business right there. The other half of the business is we keep a proportion of the fingerlings and we take them into a recirculation system where we hold them for approximately 6 weeks. And there they grow from fingerlings, which are 1 gram, up to 5 grams. At this point we call them juveniles. So the name of each stage changes from egg to fry to fingerling to juvenile, and then after 6 weeks we put them out in the lake cages. And I'll show you later, but there are some cages out in the lake. And that's where we take the fingerlings to. Sorry, that's where we take the juveniles to. They stay there for 24 weeks, and there are 24 cages out here. So they can stay in a cage for 24 weeks, after which they are hopefully 500 grams. At that point they're called table fish, and we take them to our shop, which is nearby, and we sell them to the local community.
Big one.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a big old fish.
Yes.
Is that catfishes?
Jesus Christ.
Catfish. I didn't know they had catfish in in Rwanda.
So everywhere's tilapia apart from this pond
Okay.
where I have some catfish.
Okay.
And these again are brood stock. We don't eat them.
Okay.
We use them for breeding, and so far I haven't reared any in a couple of years because they die. I don't have the skills I need. I used to, but I've somehow lost the touch.
Okay.
So they're growing bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
But you can keep them for 12 years, these fish.
Okay.
So I'll get round to successfully breeding them when I have a bit of capacity and bandwidth.
Yeah.
For now, they're my pets, and I just
Okay.
look after them.
So what I learned on the tour here is see these big farmlands area, the agriculture area here. The food here is not necessarily used to be resold. They're using the food here, and you see the planting that's taking place is being used for the feed for the fish, actually, because of course the fish and the farms take a lot of feed. They grow their own feed, and one thing I am impressed about here is the fact that he says that no antibiotics or anything like that is used as fish feed right from the ground that they use to feed the fish. No antibiotics, and I found out that's why I like the educational tour, because a lot of us, especially in America, eat a lot of tilapia, and of course the tilapia that's shipped and things that's shipped from other parts of the world, and they found out because of the diseases, because of over producing in these farms. That's the reason why they have to use antibiotics, because of the diseases. He's actually the first person and the only one out here to do fish farming out here in Lake Lachur. That's what that lake that's in the background. And so he's not having those issues, at least as of now, because it's fresh, being the only one there, and the fish-borne diseases come from constantly breeding and constantly pooping and not cleaning out the areas. And that's what that area he had back there where we just came from. They use that and they clean it out. It's costly, but then after they get to a certain size, as he went through the metrics that come out here to the lake, and they'll be out in this big old lake out here. And again, he's the only one out there in the lake, so that's kind of minimizes diseases and things out there for fish-borne diseases. And the other issues he had as people, of course, stealing other animals or possible things out there that might eat the fish, stuff like that is more so his risk factor versus diseases for the fish. Right in here, he said there's 22,000 fish inside of this tank right here. 22,000. And your fingerlings, they try to get them up to 1 gram. Once they get up to 1 gram, then they sell them.
Fish go out there for 24 weeks before we can sell them as table fish. So the great thing about cages is the water flow is natural. You don't have to pay for it. And, that means the oxygen is usually high. Fish are in good spirits and they're hungry and in good health all the time. This is by far, if you can get away with it, this is the best way of doing it. Now, the poop from the fish drops down. This is not a deep lake. And so it can rot on the bottom, methane can come up and poison fish. So we move the stations once a month and allow the lake to repair itself. So there's a lot of talk about cage fish farming being bad for the environment, which is only true if you overdo it. Every lake has its own natural carrying capacity. A rule of thumb in this area is 1 hectare of lake can process the waste from 1 ton of fish per year. So this is a 250 hectare lake. So in theory, you can get out 250 tons of fish in a year without causing any environmental damage. In fact, we're improving the lake because otherwise it's too clean. And the problem with too clean is there's nothing for the wild fish to eat. And if there's no wild fish, you don't get a job for the fishermen. And so people around the place go very hungry. So by us being in there, we're fertilizing the lake, starting up the food chain and allowing fish, the natural fish production of the lake to improve for everybody's benefit. Up to a point. You can take it too far, of course, but up to a point, clear lakes are no good for anybody apart from Instagram because they don't produce anything. But if you're into a place where food is the most important thing, you should fertilize the lakes so that they can produce natural fish.
But beautiful conversation.
Yes. Just finished the fish tour now. Sitting down up here at the property, get something to eat. Wonderful day. I learned a lot about fishing. A lot that I didn't even know.
My brother,
David right there. That's it. Yeah. Good to be.
But it's not.